Corvus is not what we all expected, guys. She is a dynamo DPS. Her kit dropped though, so let's go over and read it together. First of all, when entering battle, you gain Amplified Surge, and after you actively take an action, you gain Dynamo. Alright, what is Amplified Surge? That says, when entering Pulsing Field level 3, you gain Moxie. While you are under this Pulsing Field on level 3, your max Moxie increases and you gain immunity to control effects. Alright, insight number 1 says, when exiting Pulsing Field 3, Arc Light converts into Dynamo and Trembling Arc. Arc Light is a buff that increases your attack, and Trembling Arc is the upgrade to Arc Light, which increases your attack even more. Okay, let's take a small breather here, and let's first of all figure out how do we get access to Arc Light to convert it into Dynamo and Trembling Arc. We can find this right here. Her arcane skill number 1, her incantation number 1 says that it's a one target attack that deals mental damage to the target, and you grant yourself the buff Arc Light. On hit, inflicts the target with Fracture Point. Arc Light, as I said, increases your attack, and a Fracture Point makes it so that when struck by Forced Stitching, it's consumed to trigger an additional effect. So what it is Forced Stitching is a follow-up attack, an extra action that she performs onto one target at the end of the turn. And if she performs it on the target that you used your incantation number 1 on, then it will trigger to reduce the enemy's mental defense. Alright, now let's talk about her other insights. Insight number 2, simple as always, it increases crit rate when you enter battle. Okay. Her insight number 3 says that when a target with high temp welding leaves the field, you randomly inflict high temp welding on another enemy, and all the fracture points stacks are also converted from this one target to the other target. Alright, now we of course gotta figure out what high temp welding is and how we inflict it. Cool, I think for this one we take a look at her in incantation number 2, and that is correct here. Your incantation number 2 is a channel that inflicts high temp welding on the enemy target, and you grant yourself stitching. If the target is already under high temp welding, you gain Arc Light, and you inflict the target with a Fracture Point. Cool. What is stitching? Stitching is the following. At the end of the round, you trigger Forced Stitching, right? This is the follow-up attack that I was talking about, that she performs at the end of every single turn, while she is under the channel of her incantation number 2 actually, and corresponding to the current pulsing field level. So the higher the pulsing field is, the more damage this Forced Stitching, the follow-up attack at the end of the turn, will actually do. Okay, now let's read her ultimate real quick and then go over this in quick succession one more time and explain everything a little bit more convenient. Her ultimate says that it's a one target attack, it deals mental damage, it applies Fracture Point, and it triggers Forced Stitching. Alright. Then yeah, here you can see this, it's a one target attack that deals mental damage, and it transfers Dynamo into the pulsing field, and this attack is also affected by Ultimate Mind. And here, when under pulsing field 1, 2, 3, the damage dealt progressively increases and consumes the target's Fracture Point, triggering the following effects respectively. If the pulsing field is at level 1, you gain Arc Light. If at level 2, you gain Arc Light and you deal additional mental damage. When it's at level 3, you gain Arc Light, or even Trembling Arc, which increases your attack more, right? And you deal an additional mental damage, and you receive further amplification from Ultimate Might. So the more Ultimate Might you have access to, the more additional mental damage you will deal with everything that you have. Alright, now this sounds pretty complicated, so let's go over it and explain everything easier, to make it easier to understand, basically. Alright, so what this all boils down to in the end is actually very simple. You always want to be under pulsing field level 3, that explains itself for Dynamo, and this will always be the case if you got access to the character Sharon. He alone will keep this pulsing field up on level 3 at all times. Cool. Now you want to use your incantations a lot. Your incantation number 2 is the key. That is a channel, and you want to keep this channel up at all times, so that you perform a follow-up attack at the end of the turn, that you decrease the mental defense of all of your enemies, and that you arc light and stuff. Everything becomes more effective if you keep this channel alive, and that is your highest priority. That is what you will always have to do. That is no problem, because you will use up AP anyways as you're the main DPS, so you will just use your incantations over and over and over again. The more you use your incantation number 1, the more arc light you will gain. The higher the chance that this arc light is converted into something, what was it called, trampling arc. You will, what this basically boils down to is, use your incantation number 1, you will gain more and more attack stat, and you inflict fracture points, which decreases the enemy's mental defense. That is easy, right? So once again, level up your pulsing field to level 3. That Sharon does that alone. That is absolutely no problem. Keep your channel alive from your incantation number 2 to make everything that you do more effective, and perform a follow-up attack at the end of the turn. Use your incantation number 1 as much as possible, so you stack attack and mental defense down onto, like, you stack attack onto yourself and mental defense down onto the enemy. Very easy. Then yeah, you will do this. Everything you do, this is always a one target attack, no matter if the follow-up attack at the end of the turn, your incantation number 1, everything that you do will always hit one enemy. And you will do this, and once you use your ultimate, that will be like the attack that kills the enemy off. You can of course stack your Moxie to a high degree, because your maximum Moxie is increased, and you will be able to, you have to spam, in fact, your incantations. So you want to accumulate more than 5 Moxie, so that you can use your ulti back to back, right? Turn 2, turn 3, you will use an ultimate, and then on the corresponding turn you will use your ultimate again, right? And that's basically it. It is very simple. Honestly, just spam your incantations and everything will happen passively. So you don't have to really worry about anything other than spamming constantly your incantations. And then you will stack attack, you will deal a tremendous amount of damage, you stack mental defense down on the enemy. So that is a very interesting effect, because you will want to play Corvus together with characters that deal mental damage. And here comes the problem. Lucy doesn't do that, Ulrich doesn't do that. No one does that other than Sharon. Sharon is the only character who deals mental damage, so no one in your team other than yourself will actually profit from you decreasing the enemy's mental defense. And everything that you do is a one target attack. That is, right, of course, very lackluster. Her damage, of course, you will say no, I know that. Oh, we have to wait for the numbers, you don't know the numbers, how can you just blah blah. Oh, it's always the same blah blah nonsense, right? We don't need to wait for the numbers. I can already tell you that the numbers, there's a very high chance, or in fact they have to be higher than the usual numbers are. She will not get away with just dealing 200% mental damage in her case, just as every other character does, right? All the 6-stars, they, with everything that they do, they deal 200% damage. Corvus will not get away with that. So she will have to have at least one of her incantations, something that she has to deal more than this 200% damage. Otherwise, it is like crystal clear and obvious that she won't even contest for the spot, right? I told you in the past that Corvus, when she releases, she will have to be an absolutely gigantic monster, because that is the spot that she contests for. She has to be better, or at least on par, kind of, a little bit better, a little bit worse than Lucy and Ulrich. And Lucy and Ulrich are like completely busted, you know? And Corvus will have to be on the same level. Reading her kit here, that will absolutely not be the case. So the numbers, they will, I'm telling you this right now, will turn out to be quite crazy. Why? Because they simply have to be. If they are not, right? Let's say her incantation number 1, for example, deals 200% mental damage. If that's the case, this character is garbage. That is not even worth considering building a team around. It has to be higher than that, no matter what happens, right? The extra action at the end of the turn has to deal crazy damage. Ulrich has that as well, without even channeling an incantation, and he hits all enemies, right? So the single target damage that Corvus does here will have to be the highest single target damage in the game by far. Otherwise, this character is unplayable, right? So she will not be unplayable. So her numbers will be very, very, very high. Wait and see. What I can 100%, I already guaranteed you this before even reading her kit, right? Long before that. She will not replace or like be better, legit be better than a anniversary limited character that just received her Euphoria in a gorgeous garment. If you ever thought that, you are completely tripping, right? That is obvious. I just wanted to mention it one more time. And that's it for the video right now. I will of course do like at least one follow-up video talking about her a little bit more, but that's it for the like first impression of her kit. We already know pretty much everything about the character before we had that kit, and now we know the kit is pretty underwhelming, even if the numbers are out of control, right? That's not gonna be it. So yeah, let's stop here and let's talk at a later point in another video a little bit more about her. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope that was fun and informative. If you like Reverse 1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Don't forget to join the Discord server. Link to that in the description down below. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day, and we love this game.